had magic, poison flowing. When he was finished with the mojo, it was time to go back downtown. I would watch him move Mississippi and Chicago with the southern groove. Now I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, muddy as I can be. From a far-off window I could hear his tune from the south side of Chicago in the heat of June. If I close my eyes I can see him slide, calling out to the band for another ride. I'm trying to get muddy, yeah, I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, muddy as I can be. As he fades away, says, play your own blues in your own way. But his spirit still flows deep within my veins, and I'm standing at the crossroads waiting for my train. And I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, muddy as I can be. I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, muddy as I can be. I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, oh, I'm trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, trying to get muddy, muddy as I can be.
Yes, that's the Nationals live here on Midnight Blue. And I'd like to welcome Brian Cober on double slide guitar and vocals, Paul McNamara on bass and vocals, and their new drummer, Peter Yogi. Welcome to Midnight Blue, guys.
Thanks a lot, Ed.
If you want to say anything so people can hear, you got to talk into the microphones and whatever. Hello. Peter, what are you doing way out here? He's already wandering around. I'm going to get you guys to play another tune, and I'm going to talk to the guys in the band and get a little bit of information about the Nationals. And I know that you guys have been around for a long time, and I want to find out and let all our listeners know all about the Nationals and everything. So why don't you do one more song for us?
Okay, Peter says it's okay if we play Mother's Breath. There's a brand new feeling in the air, in the air, in the air today. There's a brand new feeling in the air today. I know this feeling go a long way. We'll take a breath, let our mother breathe. We'll take a breath, let our mother breathe. Each breath will be sweeter, like apples on a tree. We can't yet sing the new day song. We can't yet sing the new day song. Can't get enough voices to sing along. Sing along. We'll take a breath, let our mother breathe. We'll take a breath, let our mother breathe. Each breath will be sweeter, like apples on a tree. Mother's breath, silence all the storm. Mother's breath, silence all the storm. Sunrise, like we never seen before. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hot on the fingers there, right, Brian?
Still cramp in the hand for playing that rhythm for so long.
How did the name the Nationals come about?
We're named our band after the old steel-bodied acoustic guitars that were used on the streets quite a bit back in the 1930s and 40s.
I actually kind of thought that, but I wasn't too sure. And
Yeah, well, some people think we named ourselves after the crummy electrics they made in the 60s, and they look nice, and they got lots of neat buttons and stuff on them, but to actually play a National electric guitar is very, very difficult.
yeah.
It's hard to get even good intonation out of them.
And
So we're not named after them.
I used to have one, though.
Oh, right on.
And how long has the band actually been together? I know that you've got a new member in Peter, but I mean, as the Nationals, how long ago did you start?
6 years.
6 years? Yeah.
About 6 years now, and
We talked about it for about 6 years before that.
We had hired guns in different bands under different leaders.
Yeah.
You know, why carry them around, you know? And
Yeah, like Paul would join up with some garbage band that was going on a shit tour, and he'd figure, well, I might as well get Brian in on this, and then I'd reciprocate and get him involved in some crazy band leader who didn't have any gigs, but of course lied through his teeth to the whole band to get everybody to go to northern Quebec or something, and next thing we know, there's no gigs at all. You know.
so basically that's how you and Paul got the...
we knew that if we could get something going, we wouldn't ever have to worry about getting lied to and screwed around again. We could just do our thing, and it's been working out real well.
Right. Well, I've been a fan of the Nationals for some time now, because I find that the band has a very, very unique bluesy sound, and partially, you got to have a good rhythm section, which you have, but because the way that you play the double slide guitar, which is, I think, not known in the world of blues as such. You know, most guys use just a single slide, but you use a double slide guitar, and I think that's a very unique sound. How do you feel about that?
Well, when I was a kid, I played the lap steel, and without the double slide, I could never have played any blues. You know, especially rhythm guitar or even like lead, especially. You know, you can't do very much with the one slide. I know that, you know, there's guys that'll make liars out of me that, you know, are incredible, but I know for a fact there's stuff I'm doing that it'd be impossible to do without using the two slides. And like you say, I've managed to find some things that are unique to me on the guitar, just the same as any other guitar player would look for stuff that's unique for him. You know, it's I've got to play good, tasty stuff. Otherwise, the double slide is a waste. You know.
Right. And you do. And let's give everybody another example of it.
Okay.
85 in the shade.
All right.
Chicken. Better kill that sucker first, son. It's still clucking. 85 in the shade.
chicken picking guitar there from Mr. Brian Cober. Brian, you just told me that you've moved into Toronto, and now all the band members now live in Toronto. But originally, where did you start the band up?
I guess I was living in Cambridge at the time, and Paul was living in Stratford. And Dave Coulter, our original drummer, he was living in Guelph, I guess, at the time. And we all kind of... Yeah, we eventually gravitated all to Cambridge so we could be together to rehearse and all that, but...
And you had, originally you had a couple of new, or you had a couple of tapes out at one time, and now you've come out with a new CD, is that right? You had 2 tapes?
Yeah, 2 tapes, and then the CD is our 3rd release.
Right. And how did the sales at your gigs and everything go with your tapes? And
good.
Yeah?
The first one we did before we even done any jobs together. We just did it as a demo tape, and then to get our money back, we sold, we made a bunch of copies up and sold them off the stage, and the second one we made, it was about 2 years after that, 2.5 years after that, and it's been about 2.5 years now so it's usually once every 2.5 years we finally get some product out.
And now they have their new CD out, which you've now gone new with getting CDs. It seems like everybody realizes now that you got to have basically a CD out on the market.
Yeah,
and it's a really good CD.
Lady. Like they're not much more expensive to do than a cassette.
No, I know. I mean, people think that putting a CD out is very expensive, and like you just said, it's really not that much more to put out a CD. And I think the sound quality is better, and more people have CD players now, so that they can play it. And the CD is called Blue Howl, and it features the Nationals, and it's got 12 songs on it, and it's an excellent CD. And you can get this at their gigs, right?
Yep.
You sell them at the gigs, and where
Cops
else?
Records.
At Cops Records.
Of all places.
I was surprised that Brian told me that we're the only store in Toronto that actually carries the CD. So if you can get out and catch the band, make sure you grab one of the CDs, or you can come down to Cops and grab one. Paul, tell me some of your influences that you've had in the blues over the years that got you into playing this style of music.
Okay. Well, first I'll begin with I actually started on guitar when I was a kid, and it wasn't until about 13 or 14 years ago that I started playing bass. Now it took me a good couple of years to put my guitar chops, my knowledge of the guitar, onto the bass, but putting my chops from the guitar onto the bass was a very difficult thing because of the attack of the instrument, the different technique, etc. So I had to say it'd be a good 2 years of that before I could actually even call myself a bass player. And now I can't play guitar anymore. I've still got my guitar knowledge, but I just can't.
Right.
I don't have the chops there. And I think that my biggest influence would have to be James Jamerson, from one of the main studio guys from the Motown, from Berry Gordy's stable of musicians in Detroit from about 1965 to about 71.
Right.
Because, when I was a kid, I grew up in Stratford, and you can get CKLW crystal clear up there, and that was one of the main... I don't know what you would say in radio language, but where they first got those hits played was on CKLW radio. So that it was that whole groove that
You like that sort of that Motown funk type of groove, and got you into playing bass. What about blue in the blues field itself? Because the Nationals are basically known as a blues style band, and do you have any?
The first blues record I ever bought was Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, and after that,
a Hoodoo Man Blues.
I can't even remember what it was called because I lost the record shortly after. But and Johnny Winter, he was huge influence because everyone was partying to Johnny Winter back then.
Oh, yeah.
That was during his rock and roll period, but he was there was always some blues on his stuff.
Right. And Brian, what about influences that have inspired you to play the blues?
Well, Ben Gadd, I guess. He told me when I was in high school we were going to put a band together, and I'd never heard any blues before. So he told me that him and I would both sing, but when he sang, it'd be blues, and when I sang, it'd be rock, because I had never heard any blues. So I went and to a friend who I knew had a huge stable of records, and I said to him, I need a few blues records, and he gave me that first Robert Johnson album. And as soon as I heard that, I was hooked, and then the band quickly dropped off the half rock thing. I said, "Tell you what, Ben, let's do 3/4 blues and 1/4 rock." And then we said, "Well, let's do all blues, yeah." So we, it was just a big learning experience for him. He was just learning it himself at the time, and we were very young. We were like grade 11 in high school, and so to have somebody with you, and to sit down with a little Walter record, and he was playing harp, and he'd get the singing in the harp, and I'd get the background licks, and to have somebody with me like that was a great. Him and I spent a lot of time devouring those old chess records, and and I was from the beginning. I was really interested in Robert Johnson. Like on the road, I'd be on the road with some country band or top 40 band or something, and I'd put Robert Johnson on the ghetto blaster and then go to sleep, listening to him in my subconscious, and wake up and the tape would be shut itself off, and did that many a night.
Right. What about a lot of the post-war blues or slide guitar players like Robert Nighthawk or Muddy Waters or Elmore James? Did they have any influence on the style?
Elmore James, definitely, yeah. Not so much Robert Nighthawk and Tampa Red. I don't know why. I just I really like that stuff, but I really keyed on Elmore. I really loved Elmore's voice.
Me too.
It really got me interested. Like to hear that voice along with the guitar was still is a great experience.
I've often said to people that if there was one blues guy that I could listen to 24 hours a day, it would be Elmore James.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know. You'll have like the horns out of tune, and yet the record will still sparkle. Right?
Yeah, his voice and his just the way he plays the slide is just blows me. It's always blown me away.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the first guys. When I heard him, my whole thing in blues changed. Like that's all I would listen to was blues after listening to Elmore James. So, how about the Nationals doing another song for Midnight Blue?
Well, what are we doing Elmore James tune?
All right.
Now that we're talking about him.
Okay.
How about that?
That's when I go to the room.
Yeah, this is a song we did on Resophonic. We still have copies of that for sale off the stage, by the way. If anybody out there in Radio Land didn't get a copy, we still have a few left. In fact, if you come down to our gigs and buy a CD for $15, we'll throw Resophonic in there for $5. For $20, you get both. You get a little history on the band as well as our newest product.
Dusting my broom. I'm gonna get up in the morning, I believe I'll dust my broom. I'm leaving town in the morning, my best friend can have my room. I don't want no woman staying drunk all the time. I don't want no woman staying drunk all the time. She'll drink all of my good whiskey and spend my very last dime. I'm gonna call up China, see if my baby's over there. I'm gonna call up China, see if my good girl's over there. If she ain't over there, she must be in T.O. somewhere. I believe my time ain't long. Over there, I'm gonna call up China, see if my baby's over there. If she ain't over there, she must be in T.O. somewhere. I'm gonna get up in the morning, I believe all the dust in my fur. I'm gonna get up in the morning, I believe all the dust in my fur. I'm leaving 10 in the morning, my best friend can have my room.
Yes, you're listening to Midnight Blue live here on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Eddie B, and in the studio tonight, the Nationals. And we're having a good time here playing some great blues. And if you love the blues, I should tell you to join the Toronto Blues Society. And I will give you the TBS hotline number here in Toronto. It's 974-9213. That's 974-9213. That's the Toronto Blues Society. And I just got a little note in my mailbox downstairs that for a media release, this is an announcement that the Toronto Blues Society presents the 5th Annual Women's Blues Review. That's Friday, November the 22nd of this year at the Opera House at 735 Queen Street East at Broadview. And it says here that the Toronto Blues Society continues its tradition of providing unique showcase for some of Toronto's finest female vocalists. This year's outstanding program will feature blues in a variety of styles, including traditional, jazz, gospel, rock, country, and rhythm and blues. The 1991 Women's Blues Review is produced in association with MCA Concerts, and it says, please stay tuned for who's going to be in the sensational lineup that they have. And I know that they have a great Women's Blues Review every year. So if you want to get some information about it, you can phone Dave Bernard at 534-8707 or Derek Andrews at 973-4744, or the best number they get is the Toronto Blues Society at 974-9213. And I know all the guys here in the band belong to the Toronto Blues Society and have done gigs for the Toronto Blues Society over the last few years or so. And you have a new member in your band, which I want to, his name is Peter. You have to use that microphone there, Peter Yogi. And I just found out, I met Peter, I guess, about 6 months ago, and he had just moved here from Estonia. Is that right, Peter?
Exactly.
And how do you like playing with the Nationals?
This is a great band. But you know, what's the most important thing? We have sometimes fun without Peter, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And style is very interesting.
Yeah.
I started to play blues a month ago.
Yeah. Well, Peter used to be a rock drummer back in Estonia.
Yeah. Actually, I play rock and they play blues.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, you're going to be a blues man yet. You're in one of the best blues bands around, so you're going to be stuck with the blues for a while.
For sure.
How do you feel that now that you've moved from Estonia and now that they've claimed their independence from the Soviet Union with all the other Baltic states there? Are you happy that this has all happened now?
Yeah, sure. I'm very happy, but I think there's long way to go then for better life, because the communists they have left a lot of problems.
Oh, well, I know.
I mean, the food, not only food problems, there are just
Well, I think that I don't want to get too politically minded here, but I think that the Soviets, when they occupy countries, they sort of, I can use the term, rape the country of all their good resources and ship it all out. And I think that's happened to a lot of the countries that have been occupied. And I'm personally glad that now they're going to be out of the Baltic states, and I hope that a lot more republics claim their independence from the Soviet Union.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I know how you feel. So let's get the Nationals and back here to play another tune for us here on Midnight Blue.
How about True Story song?
Both Bo and Untitled?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a true story, Eddie. Not a word of lie. And one time we played with Bo Diddley, and we had to pick him up at the airport, which was a thrill. And we thought we'd show him some, like we were going back to Cambridge, and we thought we'd show him some of the beautiful countryside between the airport and Cambridge, but we big shots that we got lost. So finally a cop pulled us over and put us back towards the 401, and we were fine after that. But just recently the three of us got together and wrote a song about it.
A story that never been told. The story of Bo Diddley in Ontario. The man comes to me and says he wants to do a show. He wants us to back up a cat named Mo. Said you gotta pick him up, he's on the next flight. Out and get him back here tonight. Aha! Oh yeah! Aha! Oh yeah! Figured Bo already seen the 401, so let's take him down the back roads and have a little fun. So we took a few lefts, we took a few rights. Pretty soon the 401 was out of sight. We found some high-priced mansions on some high-priced land, and right behind us was the policeman. Now Dan and I were calm, but Bo nearly froze. He said he thought the cops are gonna be like those back in Florida. Uh-huh. Back in Florida. Got to the show and Bo knew what to do. He wouldn't leave the stage till 2:30. Yeah, we made a lot of music and we had a lot of fun. And in our books, Bo is number one. Aha! Oh yeah!
That's a song called Beau in Ontario, and it's available on the Nationals' new CD called Blue Howl. And great true story. I like that. Brian, tell me a little bit more about your guitar and how you play with a double slide guitar. I know one thing I've noticed right away, that you do have you have a bridge on it, and you have raised your strings much like a lap steel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I started out playing on a Fender lap steel, but the scale is very small, and when you get up above the 12th fret, the frets are so close together that it becomes impossible to pick out individual strings on individual frets. So I first began playing on a Les Paul, and on a regular guitar, the frets up high are much further apart. It makes it much easier. And what I did, they used to call them string raisers. A lot of guys used to have them in their guitar case, especially acoustic players that would go around to house jams, and they would. It's not you don't see it anymore, but they would loosen their strings, slide the string raiser underneath, grab a pocket knife or something, and then they could play slide if there was already 2 or 3 acoustic players there already.
Right.
You could have a guy doing some slide licks, tuned to an open chord, and away you go, But so I actually I've been keeping my eyes open over the years, and I found some really nice string raisers. I got a big brass one on this guitar, and it sits on there really solid, and that gets the strings about almost a 1/4 inch off the neck. So I just use the frets as a guide, a visual guide. I don't ever press down that far to touch them, and I just raise the pickups and the bridge assembly. I raise everything up to match it, so it's all nice and straight, and the intonation is no problem, because on a slide guitar, it's just got to be the right distance, and then your intonation should be fine, unless you have some other problems. But
right. You were telling me that the slide that you use on your index finger there, you had a machine man make that up. It's sort of like a bar that you would use on a lap steel, but it has a loop on it which actually fits over your finger, almost like a regular,
like a ring.
Yeah, or like a ring, or like a regular tube for slide guitar,
mm-hmm.
but you've got the solid one underneath it attached to it.
Well, that means that the main slide will sit on my middle finger without moving around, and that way I don't need the thumb there to brace it like a normal pedal player or lap steel player would have to get his thumb against it to brace it. Otherwise, it'll come out. So that frees my thumb up, and then I have a piece of pipe about an inch long on my thumb, and as long as it fits on the end of your thumb snug, it won't fall off.
Right.
And
I find that because you have a solid slide piece, it resonates a little bit different than a regular slide on your finger.
Yeah. There is a difference between a guy playing slide on a regular guitar with a one on his one over his finger. It's a lighter sound than like a pedal steel, especially. It's very heavy,
right?
Very heavy sounding. Lots of big fat tones, and I'm kind of in the middle there between the two.
You're listening to Midnight Blue on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm Eddie B, and in the studio tonight, my special guest, the Nationals, and I want to hear some more of that double slide guitar from you over there.
Okay, we'll do this one off the CD that we got it from Junior Wells, but we found out later it was a Memphis Slim tune. Just in time, too. Just before we went into printing, we found out it was actually a Memphis Slim tune, so we were able to put the right credit on there.
You got to get those right credits.
Yes, we thought all along this was a Junior Wells tune. Oh, before we, if you're listening out there, try to catch our little Russian influence in this one.
Trying to woman that it don't work out. Trying to baby that there ain't no doubt. I can't live without you, babe. I'm so all alone. I can't live without you, babe. Honey, won't you please come home? Ain't another woman, she was good and true. All she meant to me was missing you. I can't live without you, babe. I'm so all alone. I can't live without you, babe. Honey, won't you please come home? Can't live without you, baby. I'm so all alone. Can't live without you, baby. I'm so all alone. Can't live without you, baby. I want you please come home. Hey! Ain't a real trouble, had a terrible time. Wishing, honey, that I could die. I can't live without you, babe. I'm so all alone. I can't live without you, babe. Honey, would you please come home? Lovely baby, love to tell you so. First I have to get you to walk through my door. I can't live without you, babe. I'm so all alone. I can't live without you, babe. Honey, would you please come home? Got to have you, baby. Got to have you, baby. I can't live without you, baby. Got to have you, baby. I can't live without you, baby. Honey, won't you please come home? Got to have you, baby. Got to have you, baby. I can't live without you, baby. Got to have you, baby. Can't live without you, baby. Honey, won't you please come home? Got to have you, baby. Got to have you, baby. Can't live without you, baby. Got to have you, baby. Can't live without you, baby. Honey, won't you please come home? Can't live without you, baby. Honey, won't you please come home?
Yeah. I heard that Russian influence in there, by the way. Just I don't know how many other people out there caught it, but I definitely did. As I do every week on Midnight Blue, I take that trip to the back of the TBS newsletter in the Where It's At section and let you know what's happening in blues in Toronto and surrounding areas. So here it goes for this week at Alberts Hall, Monday to Saturday. Stony Plain recording artist Morgan Davis will be there upstairs. So if you want to check out some great blues, check out Morgan Davis at Alberts Hall all week long. At the Apocalypse Club, November the 1st, that's this Friday, Powder Blues, all the way in from Vancouver. And November the 2nd, also at the Apocalypse Club, Lonnie Brooks will be there, a great Chicago guitar player. At the Black Swan, excuse me, this Friday, November the 1st, the Paul James Band. And November the 2nd, that's this Saturday at the Black Swan, the Del Comos. And every Wednesday night, the jam session featuring the Michael Pickett Band, and a special guest this week is Mr. Jukebox. What we call him, Mr. Jukebox, Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Guitar, every song that was ever recorded, Mr. Everything. Danny Marks will be there. And, and every Saturday, of course, the Blues Jam with the Mark Bird Stafford. What else is going on here at Grossman's? Every Sunday from 3 to 8 p.m. they have a blues jam session. At Lead Bellies out in Dundas Street in London, Ontario, October the 28th to the 31st. That's Monday to this Thursday. A band that I have not seen, but I've heard great reports about. Texas Heat will be out there. At the Opera House, November the 4th. That's next Monday. If you're not tuned into Midnight Blue, I hope you're down to see Clarence Gatemouth Brown at the Opera House, and that's at 735 Queen Street East. Okay, and at the Palace out in Guelph, October the 30th, Downchild Blues Band. That's this Wednesday night. And let's see what else. At Bop the Gator out in Kitchener, Ontario. And I know you guys played out there, haven't you, at Bop the Gator?
Yeah, we did a party up there one time.
Party, yeah, it's a great place for bands, and it's a good room too. And this Thursday night they're having from Chicago Lonnie Brooks, and of course every Wednesday night out at Bop the Gator they have the Mel Brown Jam Night. So don't forget to check out the great scene at Bop the Gator if you live out in Kitchener. So. What else here? I got a few.
We should mention that the Grossman's Jam is hosted every week by Blue Sneakers.
Oh, it is it?
Yeah.
I don't think they have that down here.
Oh.
No, they don't. There you go. Okay. And let's see what else is happening. At Ultrasound this Wednesday night, October the 30th. Great bluesman. I really dig this guy's music. James Herman is going to be there with Morgan Davis and Gene Taylor. That sounds like a pretty exciting night. That's this Wednesday night, October the 30th at Ultrasound. And that's what's happening in blues. And are you guys playing anywhere this weekend that's not written up in here?
Well, we're doing Hamilton and Cambridge, so we're a little bit outside town. Hamilton and Mr. Laughs on Thursday night, and that's a jam session as well. And Friday, Saturday, we're going to be in the old town of Hespeler. If you know anything about Cambridge, you know that it used to be Preston, Galt, Hespeler, and Blair.
Is that where they used to make those hockey sticks?
Yes, Hespeler, yeah. And that's why we always sing Preston, Hespeler, Galt, and Blair. I've been everywhere. But we're playing the old Hespeler Hotel, which is going to be fun. It was closed down for quite a while, and I'm glad it's reopened.
Good. That sounds good.
And then we're off to Caledonia. The Exchange Tavern. We always have a good time there.
Are everybody's heads out there hard or what? No.
No, but they are tired of every band doing that song, I think. The first time we played there, we thought, hey, we'll do Caledonia. They'll really get off on the comedy of it all. And we played it, and they all looked at us with a dry look on their face.
And you had to play behind mesh after that. Chicken wire. But
we don't. Sometimes we do that song there. Other times we don't bother because every band, I guess, goes in there and does it. So.
Right. Well, I would imagine that.
Good fishing down there, Eddie.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good.
Another fishing.
I should tell Morgan Davis that. Morgan, get a gig at the Exchange Tavern. There's good fishing. That's where they dam the Grand River, and you can get up ahead of the dam. You can really catch some nice Eden fish.
Well, we'll have to mention that. I'm going to be seeing him, so I will tell him.
I know he calls himself the fishing musician. So.
Yeah, among other names. Live in the studio, Midnight Blue tonight are the Nationals, and they're going to play another one for you right now.
This is called the Snowshoe Boogie. Eddie, I hope you don't mind if I do all this talking here, but
no.
This is a song we wrote when we were up in the Northwest Territories playing in a town called Fort Providence, and the name of the place was the Snowshoe Inn. So this is called the Snowshoe Boogie.
great sounds of the Nationals live here in the studio on Midnight Blue tonight. And I would like to let you know of some upcoming shows on Midnight Blue. Next Monday night, November the 4th, I'm going to be presenting some new blues. That's new releases by some great traditional bluesmen like Snooky Pryor, Little Jimmy King, Johnny Hartzman, and a lot more. And on November the 11th, the best of unissued 50s R&B and blues cuts from recent CD releases showcasing some great music haven't been heard before until the new CDs have come out. Some great unissued 50s material by Ruth Brown, Jody Williams, Howlin' Wolf, and as I say, a host of others. On November the 18th. Yeah, a great show, and it's taken me, I tell you, I put together some shows in the past, but this one seems to be taking all my efforts. I'm going to be presenting on November the 18th, the Rockin' 88s, and that's going to be some great R&B and blues piano special featuring Big Maceo and Gus Jenkins and Otis Spann and a whole pile of other great piano players. And you have no idea how hard this is to find. Some piano players play with bands and they always have guitar licks in the center, you know, in the breaks and everything like that. It's hard to find some artists where it's only piano, and I'm doing a hell of a job putting that show together. So that'll be on November the 18th, the Rockin' 88s. And on November the 25th, live here in the studio, Toronto's newest funky blues band, the Sidemen. And I don't know too much about them, and I'm going to go out and see them in 2 weeks and get to know the guys, but I hear that they're really a hot blues band. So they're going to be in here on Midnight Blue on November the 25th. And way down the line, of course, I'm going to be having a Christmas blues special on December the 21st, or 23rd, pardon me. And way up in the new year on January the 27th, I'm going to have Mr. Jukebox himself, Mr. Guitar, Danny Marks here in the studio. So I'm looking forward to another great live sessions in the next little while with the Sidemen and Danny Marks in January. And I should also tell everybody out there that Eddie B has a brother in the blues, and his name is Chris Compton, and he hosts the Swear to Tell the Truth, the Blues and Rhythm Hour, every Thursday night here on CIUT 89.5 FM. Check out Eddie B's blues brother, Chris Compton, on Thursday night from 10 to 11 p.m. And it's time we have to get out of here because there's an all-night show going on here, and I would like to thank Brian and Paul and Peter, the Nationals, for coming in here and doing such a great job. And I should tell everybody out there that we have had a disadvantage tonight, that we do not have any monitoring system in here. So I've gone out in the other room and listened a few times, and the sound is great out there. And the man I have to thank for that once again is Mr. D.B. Hawks over here behind the glass. And thanks once again, DB, for putting out a great sound for Midnight Blue. And I'm Eddie B, and I'm going to be back next Monday night with some new blues. And once again, thank you to the Nationals for coming in. And don't forget to pick up their new CD called Blue Howl. And it's you can only get it at their gigs and at Cops Records down on Queen Street. When you can come in and ask Eddie B for the CD. I know where they are.
Thanks a lot, Eddie.
Thanks a lot, guys. And let's finish off with one more tune for everybody, okay? Thanks once again.